Hey, welcome to My Drink and My Truth, the podcast and the quarantine chat you never knew you needed. Here, we'll create a safe space for women to discuss and unpack the dynamic of all relationships, from dating to marriage and friendship and everything in between. So grab your drink and get ready to speak or discover your truth. Welcome to another episode of My Drink and My Truth. I am your host, Mahalia. And of course, I brought along with me my favorite girls, my New York crew from Staten Island, my good friend and host. So let's talk about it though, the podcast, Miss Elaine Antoinette. Sorry, girl. You say hated people. I'm already drinking, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
From the Boogie Down Bronx, health, wellness, and beauty consultant, Miss Jess is here. Jess a hater to people.
What's up, y'all?
Last but not least, my sister from another mister, fellow Brooklyn sis, Drea is here. Drea say hey to the people.
Hey guys.
All right. So today's topic is the 5 love languages, and that is off a book by Gary Chapman. I've heard of it for a while, but I read it for the first time this year. And it's pretty much a book where he outlines 5 ways to express and experience love. And the 5 love language, according to Gary Chapman, are words of affirmation, act of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. His whole philosophy is that everyone has a primary and secondary love language, and that is important for you to fully understand your love language as well as your partner's love language. He gives like a very good example in the book where he says it's pretty much like 2 people who speak 2 different languages, right? So let's say I speak Chinese and my partner speaks Spanish. It will be hard for us to communicate because we don't speak the same language. And in order for us to get good communication going, I would have to learn some Spanish and he would have to learn some Chinese so we could, learn how to communicate. And that example was really good for me because I started thinking about like how that relates to me. And I don't know, I felt like, with a different cultural experience, like if I go into a relationship with somebody who has a different culture background than me or vice versa, if I'm invested in this person and, I want to grow in this relationship, I will take the time to learn their language, their food, their culture. And that's pretty much what I got from the book. Like once you get into a partnership with someone, in a relationship with someone, and you're invested in this person, you learn how they want to be loved and they do the same for you. So that's pretty much the basis of the book. It's pretty much, meeting each other's deep emotional need to feel love. And if we learn that and choose to do it, then the love we will share will be like exciting beyond anything we imagined. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about apology communication and our apology language. He also has another book that pretty much explains the different types of language when apologizing. So we'll get into all of that. The ladies and I all have taken the quiz on how we communicate love-wise and apology. So we'll get into our results and break down what each love language and apology means to us. But first, you already know the deal. Ladies, what are we drinking tonight?
I have Hennessy with a little splash of Pepsi.
A little splash. And when she say little splash, she means splash, literally.
Like you pour it in the top and then pour it in your drink.
Well, we're happy to see you left that whiskey sour alone, child.
Wow, don't come for me.
Jess, what are you drinking?
Okay, all right. Well, I'm drinking, some Moscato, some Yellowtail Moscato.
Yellowtail.
Yeah, Yellowtail is good, y'all. Get on it.
Dre, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking my new fave, Barefoot Rose.
Okay.
Good.
It is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Rose Moscato?
I don't think it's Rose Moscato. It's just
No,
rose.
it's not.
Or is it-
It's not rose. Yeah,
It's
like
just rose.
It's the rosé.
Oh, it's a rosé. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I am drinking tonight black raspberry with a little maybe not a little. I'm like Elaine, a lot of um, Apple Crown Royale.
That sounds good.
So, all right, now that we have our drink, let's get right into it. Five love language. And also, if you want to take the quiz, guys, you can take it at www.fivelovelanguages.com. If you want to pause and take it and then come back to follow along with the conversation, you can. But you really don't have to because we'll be defining each love language as we discuss in the conversation go on. So you can take it after, but if you want to know what your love languages are as we have the conversation, feel free to do so. Um, so before we get back into the results of the quiz for each one of us, I just wanted to know, what do you guys think about the book or just Dr. Chapman's philosophy on these five love languages being the most common issues in any relationship communication barriers?
I thought the book was really interesting. It kind of opened my eyes to new perspectives on how to look at things when it comes to communication barriers. I think, a lot of times we just look at issues with communication as the person doesn't care to listen, but a lot of times it's like you're not speaking the same language. So it did open my eyes to that. I thought it was very interesting overall, though. As far as the quiz, how I scored was kind of very similar to what I thought I would get, but I thought it was interesting.
What about you, Jess?
I think that it really teaches us the patience that we need to have with ourselves as well as, someone that we're trying to pursue or someone that we've been pursuing for a long time. It's just, like you said, everyone is different. We speak different languages. It's just very hard sometimes when you get caught up in the things that you want out of relationships, but then you have to sit back and realize like, hey, I might like it this way, but they don't like it this way, and that's why they're not understanding why I feel the way that I feel. It just teaches me patience that I need to have with my husband when it comes to different things.
Okay, what about you, Dre?
Well, I think the test is really good. It makes you really pay attention to the things that you really think is meaningful to you in a relationship. And I think that that helps you explain to your spouse what it actually is that you want and the things that you need so you all can get on an even keel.
Yeah, I think for me, the book was definitely eye opening. I realized that, usually a lot of people love in their love language, and, that's not the case for everyone. So sometimes when you love in your love language and that's not reciprocated, you might feel like this person don't love you or, they're not invested as much as you are, but it's just that you guys probably speak two different language. And once you recognize and acknowledge that there is a difference of communication there, then you make the changes that are necessary for the progression of your relationship. So I really enjoyed the book. Um, and I'm excited to get into the conversation because we each have our own little differences in our results. The love language that showed last for all of us is the same, and I thought that was interesting. So we'll talk about that. I'd like to just quickly define the different love languages real quick for the listeners, or those who are not familiar with Dr. Chapman's book. So the first one is word of affirmation, and this language uses words to affirm the other person to show love. The second one is acts of service, which is pretty much the equivalent to actions speak louder than words, right? The third one is receiving gifts. This love language is for people who feel most love when they receive a gift from someone that they love. And the fourth one is quality time, which is about giving the other person your attention, really, or spending time with that person. And then the last one is physical touch. And this is for people who feel more deeply about their love and their relationship when there's appropriate touching, whether that's like hugs, holding hands, kisses, PDA, whatever you would deem as appropriate touching. Um, so let's get into our results. I'm gonna start with you. You want to tell the people your results, or you want me to tell it?
It's up to you.
All right, I'll give them the percentage wise because I know when we took the test, there was no percentage, and recently I took the test again earlier this week, and they have it by percentage now. So I calculated the percentage for you, girl.
Oh, okay. Thanks, girl.
So For E, 37% was words of affirmation. This is her primary love language. Second was physical touch, coming in with 23%. Also, 23% is quality time. So she has two secondary, I guess you could say, quality touch and physical touch. Quality time and physical touch.
We
And
like
then
that quality
16%.
touch.
What was
If you're gonna
that?
touch me, make sure it's quality.
This is
Period.
true. We have now discovered the six love language, people, ladies and gentlemen.
Quality touch.
Quality touch. Um, 16% is acts of service, and 1% is receiving gifts. So, do you feel like your results, I think you already said this, that you feel like your results are a true reflection of how you communicate in love?
Yeah, definitely. For me, words of affirmation, like I'm that type of person, like I like to hear the I love yous, and I like to hear like, thank you for doing this. Like I like to feel appreciated through words of the
Mhm.
things that I do for like my spouse. Um and I feel because that's the way that I like to receive it, that's how my spouse likes to receive it as well. But I definitely thought that was true. As far as like quality time and physical touch, surprisingly, I scored higher because I don't really like people touching me unless it's like in a sexual way. I'm not really big onto like holding hands and stuff, especially now with Corona. Don't touch my hand.
Girl.
but but quality time was something, if I think about my past relationships, that's something that really brought me joy. Like just to be in the presence of my spouse. Like we don't necessarily have to do anything, but just to be with each other and enjoy each other. Acts of service, I feel for me, it's just like I don't really, it's nice to have things done for me, right? But it's not necessary. And it doesn't make me feel like, this person really loves me, just because
Mhm.
you went like grocery shopping for me or something, because that's all things that I can do myself. It's great. And I'm appreciative of it, but it's not that important. And then receiving gifts, I'm very simple. I don't really like gifts unless they're meaningful. I hate like meaningless gifts when people just
Right.
get you something just because. So for me, receiving gifts is not a big deal. Like if I never received anything from my spouse, as long as I feel fulfilled in other areas, I would be fine with it.
All right. So, Jess, let's get into Jess results. Jess, your results were 33% words of affirmation, being your primary love language. Your secondary was quality time with 27%, then acts of service with 20%, physical touch with 17%, and receiving gifts with 3%. Do you feel like these results are a true reflection of how you communicate love?
Definitely. That's why I was kind of weirded out. Yeah, words of affirmation has always been something for me because I don't know, me growing up with things I've been through. I just need to know how somebody feels. I'm
Mhm.
always been the type is say what you feel, say what you mean. So I'm just a big person when it comes to that. As far as quality time, I love quality time, with my significant other. It's, some days it can be we can sit down, talk about business. Other days we can sit down, laugh. Other days, we can just sit in the quiet and just enjoy each other's company. Because there are times where you kind of have to sit back in life because we're all so busy with everything and just take the time to just relax with each other. Acts of service, I'm not really big on that. Just like Elaine said, I could do the grocery shopping and stuff myself. It is very appreciative. And especially with having a baby and just doing a whole bunch of things. Of course, I appreciate my husband if he does the laundry sometimes or puts the dishes in the dishwasher or something. That's like one of the best things ever because he hardly ever does that. But yeah, and then what's this? Physical touch. I mean, obviously, I love to be touched. I'm not really big on the being touched in public thing or whatever, but I'm a very clingy person. So if you ask my husband, you can tell him I'm all over him in the house all the time, and that's just how we are. We've always been like that since we were younger. And then receiving gifts, I'm with Elaine on that one. Like I love meaningful gifts. Like somebody can sit there and ask me 30 times what I want as a gift, and I wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm not really into that kind of stuff. I mean, you can give me candle or a
Ooh,
journal
I
or
love a
something
good
that I can
candle.
use. Something that I can put to use, not something that's gonna sit there for. I'm not really big on the jewelry thing and everything like that. I mean, just upgrade my wedding ring and we're good.
Ooh,
You know.
memo to Don.
But but I
Right.
mean, I love my ring. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying if I was to get jewelry, that would really be the only thing I would care about. So yeah, that's just I do feel like it was 100% correct with everything, which is so crazy.
Yeah, I feel like these results are pretty accurate, but let's get into Drea's results. Drea's results are as follows: 27% acts of service, 23% quality time, 23% physical touch. So I guess Drea also has two secondaries. 20% words of affirmation, and 7% receiving gifts. Dre, do you feel like these results are a true reflection of how you communicate love?
Most definitely. Like, gifts are really not important to me. I feel like a lot of the things that you can give me, I can provide for myself. And not saying that a gift is not appreciated, but it because it is. It's just that, I'll look for things that I can't give myself. And not even saying I can't give myself. Like, it's better to receive it from someone else, in other words. So yeah, gifts are not important. Physical touch, I mean, who doesn't want to be touched by their significant other, to show like hugs and kisses? Because some days you need that. You need to walk in the house and get a hug. You may have had a long day, and before they, realize it, they hugged you and it made your day a little bit better. Um, Quality time, I think, is important for us to learn each other and just to like block out the outside world and just to be in the embodiment of each other. I think quality time is more important to me than anything. We can be in a relationship. If we don't spend no time together, you're not my boyfriend.
Period.
Acts of service, like yeah, little things. Like for me particularly, when I come from work, I work 10 hours a day. So when I come in from work and sometimes my boyfriend has like bath water ran for me and he's already ordered me food because he don't cook, I think that's really wonderful because at the end of the day, he took into consideration that I'm tired and I had a long day and I may not want to come in the house and do a bunch of home stuff. So when he does little things like that, I think it's really nice. Or even when I come in the house and I'll tell him I had a long day, he'll be like, well, just get dressed. And he'll take my mind off all the stress that I've been through. I appreciate those things because it really helps me get through the little bad times that I'm having. And it also helps me, appreciate the fact that he sees and he acknowledges that, I'm tired or I need to be uplifted a little bit. I appreciate that so much. So that's why that is so important to me.
Yeah. So my primary was acts of service with 30%. Quality time came in very close, also at 30%. 23% was words of affirmation. And then physical touch came in at 8% and receiving gifts at 7%. Um, for me, I think acts of service is my primary love language. Kind of like what Jess said, just like childhood, going back to my childhood. Um, my family is, I think they show their love by acts of service. So that has always been like my primary love language, and I did not realize it until I read this book. I have a very bad habit of saying that I could take care of everything on my own. I don't know if it's a bad habit, or if it's just independent, but whatever you want to call it. Um, I just like doing things on my own. I don't like asking people for things. If you ask me if you could do it for me, most likely I'll tell you no. I'll tell you I could handle it. I got it. So when someone just don't ask and just do it for me, and it could be the simplest thing, just like something I had to do, when you just do it for me just because you see I'm stressed or I have a lot on my plate, that means the world to me. Because if you verbally ask me, can you do this? I probably would say no, I got it. So I think that's what my primary love language is. And again, I've mentioned this in previous episodes. I grew up with a lot of women, and I feel like most of the women in my family are this way. So has always been my love language. Even to this day, I don't live home in New York anymore. So things for like my birthday, my mom and my aunts would call me, and it's like, oh, it's your birthday. I wish I was there to cook for you. Because that's just how we show love, like cooking for you or doing something for you. That's just how we show love. So That is my primary. And of course, quality time came very close to that. I love being with the people I love. I love being with my family. I love being with my friends. We don't necessarily have to do anything. It just be us sitting watching a movie and not even speaking, just physically being there. Says a lot. Words of affirmation came in third. That one was a little shocking to me. Well, not really, because the other two was physical touch and receiving gifts, and I knew I was going to score low on those. So I guess it's not really that shocking. I mean, I guess it's nice to hear affirming words. I'm just not very vocal with emotions. When it comes to emotions, I kind of struggle with that. So I knew that that would not be one of the tops for me. And then physical touch, unlike the rest of you ladies, I knew I was going to score low on this. Okay, I don't like to be touched. Um, don't touch me unless there's a reason. If you get what I'm saying, but like I'm not that girl who feels like we need to hold hands. I mean, if you do it, that's fine. It's not like I'm gonna punch you in the neck or anything, but I don't initiate like hands holding and random hugs and stuff. First of all, I'm a really jumpy person. If you just pop up and grab me, I'm gonna be like, listen, I'm from like, don't do that.
She's gonna punch you in the neck.
I would probably punch you in the neck. Um, but yeah, that did not surprise me. I am learning though. Okay. I want to say I've been doing a lot of work in physical, like being affectionate physically. So I'm a work in progress, people. And then receiving gifts came dead last for me. I feel like the rest of the ladies, like unless there's a meaningful story or something behind it, I don't really care for gifts. Unless of course you give me like unlimited like gift cards to like Sephora and Mac, that I will always appreciate. But I'm not really big on gifts like that. Again, like I said, I'm pretty independent. If I want something, I'll probably just go get it myself. So gifts are not that big for me. But one thing that I did find interesting with that is, like I mentioned before, a lot of people like their love language is how they show others love. And I found it interesting because I do feel like my primary love language when giving love is gifts. Like I have given myself the title of wonderful gift giver. Um, I feel like I am a great gift giver. You know what I mean? Like if I know it's gonna mean something to you, I will buy it for you to show you like either I'm supporting you or I love you or this reminded me of you. I'm very, and this could be because I am not like a verbal person when it comes to emotion. I feel like I use gifts to communicate my love. Do you ladies feel that? Is your love language different when it's giving love from receiving love?
No, mine is definitely the same all around with giving and receiving.
Yeah. What about you,
I don't
Aaron?
know. For me, I guess I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I feel like I do enjoy giving gifts, but I think I enjoy the reaction of that person, more than actually spending money. 'Cause I don't like to spend money, but um, I'm cheap, y'all.
I'm with her, y'all.
um,
Except of course when it comes to Mac and Sephora, I will spend.
Yeah, like unless it's something that like I really want, like food, I'm a fat ass, so anything food related, I'll spend whatever on it. But when it comes to
Right.
gifts and stuff, but see with myself, see I'm very stingy with myself with buying myself stuff, but I feel like if I feel it will be meaningful to that person, I'll spend whatever dollar amount it is. But I don't think so. I mean, because I'm not really good at expressing my emotions either. So, as far as like words of affirmation, I don't think I do that enough. Acts of service is something that I would say would probably be my primary love language as far as giving love. So, yeah, I think mine's is different.
What about you, Dre? Is yours different or is it the same as your primary love language?
My part, I think that's my primary love language. I think I'm good at. I'm not a good gift giver at all. It's really hard for me to get gifts. Um, I always have to call and ask somebody what they want, so I'm definitely not a gift giver. But I think that with friendships and relationships, I'm there more supportively than anything. Like I would show my support if you're grieving or you need somebody to talk to. If you just want to call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, or I'll just come and like do something nice for your birthday or something like that, or just pop out because I know that you're having a bad day. I'd rather show you I care and love for you by actions. But as far as like gifts and everything, I can't do that because I think that all that could be replaced. But the things that I show you and how loyal I am to you, that's what matters more. That's what you're gonna remember. You may put the gift I gave you somewhere in the closet and be like, oh, I remember Drea bought me this, but the time that you really need it and I showed up, you're gonna remember that more than the fact that I gave you some flowers or candy. So I think that being loyal and really showing support to anything that your loved ones or your friends want is better than anything.
That's a really good perspective because I didn't think about it like that. For me, I really, like I said, I really love meaningful gifts. So to me, if I'm giving you something that's meaningful, like I'm the type of friend, if you tell me you want to do something, like, I don't know, since Elaine and Dre are like my closest friends, I'll say, like, Elaine expressed to me, like, I really want to get into tarot readings. And my initial thought is, as your friend, I want to get you your first deck of tarot cards, right? Or like, Dre told me, like, hey, I want to start a cupcake business. My first reaction is to be like, let me get her something cupcake related. To me, that's how I'm showing my support because I'm not really good with the whole, I'm very proud of you. Like, I'll tell you I'm proud of you, but I guess I'm not really good with words of affirmation. Like, because I don't constantly need someone to tell me that I'm doing well or anything like that, I'm more of a action over word type person. I don't know how to do that for others. If there is something to remind you of my support, I prefer to do that.
I mean, I think that you are a wonderful gift giver. I definitely have my apron, and when I'm on my Chef Boy Andrea days, I definitely wear it. I think that that's what makes you an amazing person, the way you give love, and that's what draws people to you, the way you give love. Because sometimes the people that you are connected with, they show you a different side that you're not used to, and that's what makes you connect to them so well. Because you're like, I didn't think about it that way. Like, I feel like each one of us are totally different, opposite people, but we all get along so well because it's something that it makes us look at each and every last one of us and be like, maybe I need to learn how to do a little bit more. Sometimes your friends and your spouse can be like the prime example for you to be a better person.
Mm,
mhm.
so true.
And I don't even
I
think it's a
agree.
better person. Like, I feel like this book taught me, like, it's not about even being a better person. It's just people just speak different language. They express things differently. So I think this book has allowed me to appreciate other people's perspective more than criticism. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of an understanding of someone
Yeah.
than.
So, like in the book, Gary Chapman said, like people tend to criticize their spouse or significant other most loudly in the area where they themselves have the deepest emotional need. Their criticism is an effective way of pleading for love. Do you guys feel like that's something you could relate to, or you've had the experience in any relationship where you feel like you're getting frustrated because the person is not speaking the same love language you are?
I would say
I don't even.
I was definitely in situations where it was just like, like what do I have to do to like get through to you or to make you understand what I'm saying or what I want in this relationship. But
Mhm.
like as far as people, what did you say? He criticizing what they need most? Is that what you said?
It says people tend to criticize their significant other most loudly in the area where they themselves have the deepest emotional need. Their criticism is an effective way of pleading for love.
See, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
I agree with it. And that's something I learned in my last relationship. Again, acts of service and quality time are both like top for me. I show my love in either doing small things for people or just physically being there. I did not understand being in a relationship to someone who those two were not their primary, right? So their primary is like physical, which is pretty low for me. It's like you're not being supportive. And that's not the case. It's just that their support was very different from mine. Like their support is physically touching and being there and being present. And that's not it for me. Like being there is just spending quality, like, not canceling your day, but putting time aside to just be there with me because I'm going through something, or just do something small for me, some kind of act of service versus just like holding my hand and randomly just giving me a hug because I don't like to be touched.
Right.
So,
But see, I guess when I'm thinking about it, I guess I'm thinking of it more so like if I was to criticize somebody about like their love language, how I'm interpreting what he said was that it means that I'm basically trying to fill a void. Like I'm kind of in a way yelling out about a void that I'm missing. So like if someone's love language was physical touch and that's how they feel they are showing me the most supported, then I can turn around and say, okay, I feel like I'm not being supported, but that in a way is like me criticizing them like, okay, you just want to touch me all the time but you're not actually supporting me.
but then it's understanding, like in that moment, you're not thinking, well, for me, in that moment, I wasn't thinking like, hey, this is his way of support, touching. I was looking in the perspective of my way of love, showing love. And I think that's what he meant. But
I definitely can agree with that. I'm kind of going through a situation like that myself in my relationship right now, where I see that he kind of like calls out a lot of things that I do have, as opposed to things that he doesn't have, and it kind of puts us in like a argumentative state because of that. Because I don't understand why he feels like that, and the reason why I don't understand it is because I have it.
mhm.
So I have like a lot, I have a wonderful family support base. Like when things get really tough and really bad, my family will show up and show out. We may not talk every day, but when it's needed the most, they are always there. He doesn't have that. He's always had to figure it out by himself. So now that I'm standing beside him, he still thinks that he has to figure it out by himself because that's what he's been doing the whole time. So I'm shouting to him like I'm here, but he knows I'm here, but he doesn't know how to accept it simply because it's something he never had.
Right.
Oh my gosh, Dre, I literally had an epiphany moment just now. Like legit. That is literally what happened in my relationship. Like I
I
said
mean,
before, like my family, I come from a family full of women of acts of service. It's just our thing, right?
right.
And that's not his love language. So for him, he doesn't know how to speak that language because he doesn't come from that family dynamic where people would just, hey, let me cook for you because you look sad. Like that's not his thing. Like I remember we got into a really big argument and he really loved spaghetti and taco. I cook both of them, y'all. Like that's not
What?
That is
that's
so
not
That's a
active
cute.
service
combination.
because like I don't know, like literally, Drea, you know my mama. Like what happened when you come
I
over and she
love
will
your
cook you up?
mama.
She will cook everything
When I tell you,
under the sun.
Everything she
when
got in the
this
fridge.
quarantine is over, I am buying a ticket without you. You want to stay? I miss your mother.
My mom and her sisters, I was raised like that. You said, let me cook your favorite
Mm-hmm.
meal. It's your birthday, let me cook your favorite meal. I did something and I don't want to apologize verbally. I'm gonna cook your favorite meal. So that's just how like I was raised. So for me, when I was going through something, and I wasn't receiving that, I didn't feel like he was showing up in active service or quality time. I was like, you just don't care. But that's not the case. Like we just didn't speak the same love language. And I think it's because he was raised totally different from what I was raised. Like he didn't come from that type of background where everyone was just like, let me do for you. It was the total opposite of like, this is your responsibility, do it yourself. That's where he come from. So he was trying to show his support in other ways that I couldn't understand. And to me, it was just lack of support. But it was not lack of support, it was just another way, another form of support that's not primary to me.
And that's cool. Like me, I had to really understand that the things that I do for my boyfriend, it's hard for him to appreciate it because he never has it. But what I do love about him is that even though he never had it, he'll catch himself when he sees that I'm having a problem with it, and he'll do, like I said, that I think this is why acts of service is so good for me, because he'll like buy me a card, and he may not tell me verbally how he feels, but he always makes sure he let me know that he loves me and he appreciates it. And even some days he'll verbally say it like, I appreciate you. And sometimes I don't take into consideration how good you are to me. I'm gonna work on it. And I know that it's a work in progress, but the fact that he sees it and he understands it, and
And
sometimes I don't
acknowledges
have
it.
to tell him, the acknowledgement is so amazing. And I think that's what always makes me settle down, because I be ready to leave. But when I be ready to go, because I be like, this is too much. But then when he really understands that his behavior is not something I'm used to, I see him change, and I see him trying. And sometimes I think that's what people need to see, like a try. I'm not asking for 360 in one day, but every day, if you try to get better, it's better for me and you, because it makes me want to be able to work with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a process. What about you, Jess? Do you feel like you and John speak the same love language, or is it something you guys had to learn?
I definitely think that we speak the same love language. Now he has to take his quiz. He said he gonna take it later. But there are times, just like what Dre was saying, when my husband realizes that something about him is frustrating me, he'll write a card or something because he has a very hard time like, trying to express his feelings. And I don't know where that stems from because his family is like such like outgoing, out there, just but he's just different. Like he's just shy with everything and he's a very private person. So there are times where I get frustrated, with him and I'm like, why aren't you understanding what I'm saying? But then now that I've taken my love language quiz, it just makes me think that am I getting frustrated at him or am I getting frustrated at myself for not understanding why he feels that way? You get what I'm saying? Because just like you were asking earlier, Mahalia, your love language different when giving and receiving? And I feel like with him, his love language giving might be words of affirmation. But receiving, I'm really not sure where he falls into that category. So there are times where just things, we don't see eye to eye, but then I have to set myself back and realize like, okay, we're not the same. Our thoughts aren't the same, even though we've been together for so long. I have to sit back and understand and take into perspective of why he feels the way that he feels and what can I do better to not have to go through the situation again, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
get that.
I have a question. Does he do the same thing and like in return, besides of like making a card or something? Does he try to like show you that he understands where you're coming from and where your frustration comes in at, or is it just you trying to fix more so what it is so y'all won't go through it again? Is it just a consistency of you fixing, or you fixing it collectively?
It's definitely a fixing of collectively. Now, if he feels like, and I think this is with everybody, if they feel I didn't do anything wrong, of course, it's like that's a battle that I'm not trying to fight, especially if I don't feel like I did anything wrong. But as a collective, definitely, our communication is up there. So if I feel some type of way, I can easily sit down with him and tell him, and he'll sit down with me and say, okay, babe, this is what we're going to do to fix this situation or make this situation better. um it's never just a one-way street with us. It's always a two-way street. We're always trying to figure out what the next move is just to keep our relationship on edge because we've been together for so long. It can easily die down fast. Like there's people that be together for 20 plus years and then they're getting a divorce, you know? Um, so it's definitely a collective. Now I can say sometimes it's not a collective and sometimes that's on my part and sometimes it's on his part. But definitely in all, I would probably say 95% of the time it's definitely a collective. But with me, I've always had an issue with I'm tired of washing the dishes. But then again, I look at it as he works long hour shifts. He comes home. I know he's tired. I want to make sure the house is clean before he comes home and stuff. But then there are times where I can't do that, and then I just get tired and feel frustrated. And I'm like, you need to understand that I'm here all day with the baby. And there's just some things that you have to meet me halfway on. And if we can't meet halfway, then later on, let's sit down. When she goes to bed, we'll sit down and we'll talk. You jot down how you feel about these things, and I'm gonna jot down how I feel, and then we'll collectively work together to fix it.
Oh, I love that.
I do love that, and I asked you that from like a woman that's married standpoint of view, because sometimes females, they consistently change and the guy stays the same, or the guy changes and the woman stays the same, and it still doesn't work. And that's why I asked, is it a change between both people, and how would you go about it in a marriage standpoint of view?
Right. You have to be willing to do that because it's a lot of work. Like dealing with somebody else's personality, somebody else's this. You expect things to go one way, but then they go a whole different way. You can't expect things to always go the way that they're supposed to. And that's why I tell him, because that's how we avoid getting into arguments. Yeah, we might have heated discussions, but I'm like, write it down. I'll read what you write. You read what I write, and we'll go from there. Because I'm not with the screaming back and forth, because then we're never going to get anything solved.
Is that something you guys came up together, like where we're gonna write our emotions, or is that something you guys learned from somewhere, or?
I came up with it when we were in college because we were just going downhill super fast, and um, I told him, like, I think that we should start writing down our emotions, because he always used to say, "I can't, I know how I feel, but I can't say it. I can't say it." Or, "You make me feel this way, but I just can't put it into words." But I'm just like, okay, well, just write it down. Whatever in your mind, just write it down. And then as we got older, it got to the point where, okay, like, write down how you feel. I'll write down how I feel, and we'll go from there. Like I said, because one, we don't like arguing in front of our daughter. So if we have anything to say, I'm like, save it for later. We'll go on and deal with it at another time. But right now, we don't need to see her. She don't need to be upset. So it's just little things you have to think about. And I'm the type of person that words, just like the words of affirmation, my love language, words hurt me a lot. When people say certain things to me, it can really make or break me in a certain way. And there were plenty of times where he has said things that he doesn't think hurt me, but did. And then it's just like, oh, well, why do you feel that way? I didn't make you feel that way. You feel that way. I'll tell you why you made me feel that way. And then we'll go from there. As far as, like I said, my love language is just all around the same, giving and receiving. Once I figure his out, then we'll go from there. But only time will tell.
You said something really, really important. I think for me, words of affirmation was not taught for me because I think from a very early age, I realized the power of words. And I realized that once those words come out your mouth, you cannot take them back. And
Definitely.
I think besides the fact that I'm just not a very like super emotional person, that kind of hold me back too because I know that in the heat of anger, you say things a lot that you don't mean. And I try not to do that. And a lot of people would like say I'm not confrontational, and I'm not, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I acknowledge that if I'm mad and I say some messed up things, I will not take that back. And I'm not one of those people that's like, we'll get into like apology next, but I'm definitely not one of those people like that something happened and you say sorry and I put it behind me. Like, no, it was said and it was said and I heard it.
Right.
So,
like, I heard it, so you
I'm
can't take it
sorry.
back.
I'm not,
That's how
those,
I
like, there
am
are a lot
too,
of
for
people that just
real.
like, oh, that was said, but as long as you apologize, we can move on. That's a
No,
no.
that's not me either.
No, it's not no apology and we move on. It was said and I will never forget it. And it's not, I don't think it's about holding a grudge. I think it was said and I remember.
So what you're saying is it's holding a grudge.
It's not holding a grudge. Like,
That's what she's
Now
saying.
remember.
I feel like people who just say, like, I don't know if it's because I'm this way. This could be another reason, understanding my language is not everyone else's language, but I just feel like because I make the conscious decision that I'm not going to say anything that I know I will regret when I calm down. I expect other people to do the same. So if you come into me like, oh, I said this, but I didn't really mean it, girl, because, I was just mad. No, because I was mad too, but I acknowledge my anger and still kept in mind that I love you, so I'm not gonna say such so and
Exactly.
so.
And I
You know what I
still
mean?
respected
So
you.
for you to say the craziness and come to me talk about I was just mad, no, boo.
No, no.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
to piggyback off of that, I am one that does that, and well, did that because I had to work on it. I had to see that my anger leaded my words, and After I calmed down, I realized some of the stuff that I said was not okay. And it was like gut wrenching stuff. And it was behavior that was learned.
Mm.
So, do you think though, like when it comes to saying stuff that you don't necessarily, is it like stuff that you don't necessarily mean, or stuff that you're like, well, maybe I should not have said that because that's not how I really feel?
See, me personally, if you're mad and you're coming at me and you say some crazy stuff, it's something that you had in your mind the whole time.
That's how
Yeah,
I
that
feel
That's how
too.
I
that that
am
that
because
could
Yeah.
that could be true, but for me, and I'm only going to speak on me because I don't know how
okay.
everybody
Hmm.
else out there feels. But for myself, I kind of grew up in situations where a lot of harsh things was said. So I had to have a comeback as quick as thieves, like to kind of not show hurt. So it wasn't I shouldn't have said it, or maybe it was me going back at you to try to. I'm not gonna let you know you hurt my feelings. I'm gonna try to hurt your feelings. I'm gonna try to
Mm.
destroy you because that's what you're trying to do to me. And I picked up that bad habit, and I put it in relationships and friendships and stuff like that. And I realized that I was saying stuff to people that I really loved that I couldn't take back. And although I didn't mean it, it was something that I couldn't take back. And it was something that you can't even explain.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
definitely get that. I've dealt with friends like how Andrea's saying with how she her anger, she let her anger lead her words. That can be forgiven, but then you have the people that really just try to be vindictive and try to counterattack you. Like if I'm speaking to you and I'm telling you how I feel, and then at the end, you're trying to play me like you don't know the type of person that I am. It's like, why are we even doing this? Why are we even in this friendship or relationship if you're gonna come at me when you've known me this whole time? You're saying something at the side of your mouth that you think is okay when in reality it's not. And if I did the same thing to you, how would you feel?
Just can I say something? You said something that it can be forgiven. You have to understand certain things cannot be forgiven. When you love somebody and you respect somebody, you have to tread lightly because of the love and respect that you have for them. I'm not saying don't say what you need to say, but it's always a better way to get your message across. You don't have
Right.
to come out guns blazing. And I had to learn that. I had to lose a few
Hmm.
people. I had to understand that to get to the point of where I am today, to know that your tongue is really a sword. And in your
Mm.
relationship, if you always coming at your spouse and trying to put them down or talking to them crazy, that can affect your relationship a lot, and it takes away from all of the five love languages because it just seems like you're not a nice person. Actually, I read a little bit of it just now, and he was
Hmm.
saying that one of his wives just became like a really negative person. And it's crazy because you could be a really negative person in your relationship and still wonder why your relationship is going bad and don't realize that you are the person that's making the relationship
Right,
bad.
because it's hard to be on the outside. I mean, it's hard to be on the inside looking in.
I don't know
You
if that
know,
makes sense, what I just said to any of y'all.
it makes sense to me.
No, it makes sense.
I get exactly what you're saying. That's why I said it's so hard to be on the inside looking in. Like people can sit there and tell you all day long, you do this, you're like this, and you're like, no, I'm not, because you can't see it. But then you got to step outside of yourself. Like you said, Andrea, you had to, fix that with, letting the anger lead your words. And I applaud you for that because that's a hard thing to fix. Like I'm trying to fix that with my sister now, but I know it's a hard thing to fix. And I used to be like that too because, if you're going to hurt me, shit, I'm going to hurt you back. It don't even really matter, what it
So
is or how long we've been in a relationship or friendship or whatever.
so
But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just have a question. This is an open question for all of us. After reading the book and after taking the quiz, do you feel like Mahalia, you just like use one of your relationship as an example? Given the fact that you know your five love languages, does it make you want to strengthen things that you didn't feel were good for your next relationship?
Absolutely. I think it allowed me to recognize and acknowledge that everyone do not speak my love language, right? So like when you end a relationship and you look back on like where did things go wrong, um and I realized that a lot of it was not him trying to hurt me. It was us just not seeing eye to eye on a lot of things, whether it was because of our backgrounds or where we are now in life. It was more of a misunderstanding individually than it was as a unit. And I think once I read this book, I realized that I need to perhaps understand better my partner's love language and kind of understand more why they do the things they do instead of just automatically judging why they do it or how they've done it. Because once somebody does something, well, at least for me, it was like once somebody did something that was not aligned with what I believe was love or expression of love, it was like, no, this is not what I want. You're doing it wrong. You don't really care. And it was that was not the case. I could genuinely say that nothing that happened within that relationship was meant to hurt me. Like, I don't think he did anything to like intentionally hurt me. I just feel like we didn't like the same love language, and a lot of things was like, again, I'm not a verbal person, so a lot of things were just like, oh, this is not what I want. This I don't feel the love. I'm not receiving the love as I think fit. So I don't want to do this anymore. And I think he's kind of the same way where it's like if he's not really a verbal person, so if he's not understanding why am I reacting this way and I'm not understanding why he's reacting this way, it wasn't really a conversation as to why are we doing this. It was like you're not doing what checks off for me as true love and I'm not doing what checks off for him as true love, so let's just quit it here. There was never a conversation on am I feeling your love, Tank, and are you feeling mine?
Okay, Tank. Elaine, do you have something to like? I mean, it was a question for everybody.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't necessarily say it changed the way that I kind of like go into relationships. I would say that it changed on the way how I view what is important to me and cuts out some frustration of some things like, okay, am I genuinely getting upset because this person doesn't genuinely care about me, or am I getting upset because I don't understand how they are showing that
Right.
they care about me?
Okay.
So for me, I don't think it changed how I would jump into a relationship, but it definitely has changed how I express myself in relationships. Knowing my love language is something that I can express to, my future partner and say, okay, listen, this is how I feel my love tank would be full. And these are the things that mean the most to me. So we're on the same page. What are the things that would mean most to you?
Okay, so you would try to make a importance of what's good for him and what's good for you, and try to make it work together.
Yeah.
I want to just make something clear for the listeners. Elaine and I both use the term love tank. If you have not read the book, Dr. Chapman pretty much explained what a love tank is, and he basically said it's kind of like a gas tank, and if your partner is not speaking your primary or secondary love language, your tank is not as full, right? So if someone is showing you love the way you want to be loved, your love tank is full, and if they're not, it's empty. So that's what that means.
Now that I know my love language, it's definitely something I can communicate to my husband and let him know, hey, I'm feeling this way because this is what I need. This is the affirmation that I need. And this is what we need to get to the bottom of so that we can fix the things that we need to fix.
That is a powerful thing. And I think that's why I've been like really on everybody about this. Like I feel like it was very eye-opening to me. Like it takes a lot to verbalize how you want to be loved. And I know I've expressed this with Drea a lot where it's like I can't tell somebody how to support me. I can't tell somebody how to love me. You just got to do it. Like duh. And this book has allowed me to see like that is not the case.
Yes, yes. And I always tell her, like, you have to understand. I think I tell all my friends this in their relationships because, my motto is don't ask me, I always go back.
I hate her. I really do.
Don't ask me because I always go back.
I mean, listen, I don't.
There's the one advice I don't take.
She definitely doesn't. But seriously,
He does not remix ever. Let me not say ever before I go back, but still.
Right, because when you go back, I'm definitely gonna be like, remember that time you said we need you to go back to the podcast?
He's never remixed before. Stick with the original.
Right. I can't tell somebody. I just try to be supportive. You can't tell somebody how to love, how to forgive, what to accept, what they won't accept, because each one of us is raised differently. So our standards for things are very different. Some people were raised with no morals, no nothing. They never had a person to look up to. So they created their own image in their mind of what it is they need to be. And then some people, they were raised, quote unquote, what people say the right way. So they go by what seems normal. And then you got people that not raised that way and, show other ways of affection. Like mine is always support. My family always showed me support. So I grew up knowing that giving love means showing support, showing loyalty. You don't stab your friend in the back. You don't stab your loved one in the back. You don't do that. That's not something you do. If that's your friend, if that's your lover, you hold it down. And sometimes I do that to a fault because nobody told me how to turn it off. So I do it too damn good to the point where I'm suffering, and that's not good. And then like Mahalia, her family shows of action. They show you, hey, when I was at her mom's house, every day I woke up, there was breakfast on the table. If I said, oh, I wanted this, her mom will make it. And that right there, like her mom has always done that to me. And that's why I love her family so much. I'm Haitian by association.
Oh my God.
But and you know what? I love Mahalia because of that. Because at the end of the day, she shows me little things that I didn't think that was very important to like a friendship. I didn't think giving gifts was important, but I know that sometimes a gift is showing appreciation. Sometimes support is just not enough. And I had to learn that from another relationship. So I guess people do teach you different love languages, and you don't even notice it. Thanks, boo.
But no, that's true though. But I think we kind of started talking about apology, so I kind of want to get into Chapman's theory on apology, which is very similar to the five love languages. So he has the five languages of apologies, and how you communicate and receive apology.
Actually, we're just going to cut it here because this conversation got real deep real quick, and I want to make sure we have time to cover it all. So, there will be a part two where we will discuss and get down to the nitty gritty about these apology languages. So, make sure you join us next episode so we can get into it. Until then, let us know what your results for the five love languages and your opinion and your thoughts about everything we discussed today. Like, do you feel like your results was a good reflection of how you communicate love? Let us know in the comments. Reach out to us by email, mydrinkmytruth@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So join us next episode to continue the conversation. And of course, don't forget your drink. Cheers.
Cheers.